Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and today I have a set of cards that I think that turned out really pretty. So let's jump right in. So as usual, I am going to cut down my cardstock. I'm going to make 5 cards, mostly just because of how I chose my ink colors. I have a challenge running in my Facebook group this month, and it's the second challenge we've done. I started them in March. So the first month of challenges had just ended, and the April challenge was to work in a pastel color palette. And I try to have a set of cards or a project for the first Monday of the month. And of course that is today. So I'm showing you my version of the cards that I made for the challenge. So if you want to check out the challenge, you just have to join the Facebook group. You do have to request join. It is a link in the description. It asks you 2 questions. You do need to answer those questions or I won't accept you to the group. It's just one of those things where it kind of weeds out people who, might put up spammy posts. The questions are super simple. It's just, where did you hear about the Facebook group? And, be kind, pretty much. So if you want to join, there is a link. You can go and join it just down below. But for my cards, as I said, decided to do 5, and I'm cutting down my card panel. So I have an A2 size base, which when scored is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I've cut my black shimmer panel here down to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base. And then my blending panel, which is on my HammerMill cardstock, will be about 1/4 of an inch smaller than my A2 base, just because I really like that thin layered look. By all means, completely up to you. You don't have to add all the layers. I just like how that looks, so I do tend towards that. So for my colors, I chose Spun Sugar, Scattered Straw, Shabby Shutters, Tumbled Glass, and Shaded Lilac, because to me, I feel like these are the most pastel colors of the oxides. This is what reads the most pastel to me. Of course, if you have a different ink set, you would probably have to choose different colors, or you could substitute other colors in for these if you wanted to. These just kind of make the most sense to me when I think of color pastel. And I did choose 5 colors because you guys know, if you've been with me for a minute, I like to work in kind of a rainbow palette. That is one of my favorite things. It brings a smile to my face every time I get to work with it. So I am drawn to that. So because of that, I chose to make 5 cards using the colors together. So on the first card, I have Spun Sugar and Scattered Straw. And then the second panel, I have Scattered Straw and Shabby Shutters, then Shabby Shutters and Tumbled Glass, then Tumbled Glass and Shaded Lilac, and then of course, Shaded Lilac and Spun Sugar. I might actually have 6 cards there. Sorry. It's been a little while since I made them because of course this post, the challenge goes up the first of the month. But so I had to have those cards made before the end of March, and then I'm just now editing the video for the 7th. So I made these cards a little while ago, and I've made multiple projects in between. So I tend to forget things sometimes. But yeah, so those are the cards that I made. You can see the ink blending here. And I think these are really quick and clean and simple card set to make. You don't have to ink blend if that's not your thing. You could easily use sprays. You could easily, bring in some fun pattern paper. There's so many ways you could do this. It's just that ink blending is one of my favorite techniques. So I do end up going back to it time and time again, just because I really enjoy it. So, but there would be so many ways you could do this instead if ink blending wasn't your thing. Or maybe you don't own any inks. So completely up to you. If you don't own any inks and you're in the market, I would highly recommend the Oxides. I am biased because they are by far my favorite, and I haven't tried every ink on the market. But for all the techniques I want to do, the Oxides just really lean themselves to be beautiful and a lot of fun. So that would be my recommendation. But yeah, so I'm just going to ink blend all of my panels, time and time again. I do clean my glass mat in between each color set just to make sure that I'm not contaminating the new paper, because some of the colors are lighter than others. Some of the colors together will make brown, that kind of thing. So I am just cleaning the glass mat in between. And then I kind of, just bring in the next color for the April challenge. So as I said in the beginning, it is in my Facebook group. So if you're in the Facebook group, you will have already seen the post. If you're not and you want to join, please join. It's just a fun community. We just share crafty projects. We share recipes. Sometimes we share animal pictures. It's just kind of a fun environment. And for the challenge, I set a theme or a color palette, and then people, create in it in the month. So the only rules to it is that you do have to use the color palette that I've set out for this month. And you do have to create it within April. Just because the whole point of the challenge is to give people a fun, idea and to do something maybe a little different or do something kind of crafty. It's ultimately just to get people creating if they're in a bit of a slump or they're struggling a little bit or they just need, a little inspiration. So I set up the challenge for the first of the month, and then my card is a part of that post, so you can already see it. And then the first Monday of the month, I upload the video going along with those cards. So if you're in the group, you will have already seen these cards, but I think they turned out really cute. I'm pretty proud of them. I really like them. I needed more birthday cards. I never seem to have enough birthday cards on hand. It's one of my big ones, birthdays and thank yous. So if I'm not sure what sentiment to add to something, it pretty much always defaults to birthday or thank you for me. And then I brought in the large Tim Holtz floral trims. I love these. You guys have seen them so many times on my channel if you've been here a while, just because I love them. I love florals. Florals are my favorite. And I'm just going to stamp it onto the left-hand side of the panel. I have a Misti here, so it's a stamping platform. And then I have a Waffle Flower Mat that's actually sized to fit inside of the Misti. So that you can see here, I can hold my cardstock without having to use magnets or anything to hold it in. It just adheres gently to that sticky mat underneath, and then just sits there with no issues. And then the ink wipes off. No problem, because you'll see that here in a minute when I'm done stamping the florals. I will be stamping a birthday sentiment, and the ink is no longer on the background. And I just use a baby wipe to wipe off the Waffle Flower Mat. And of course, as always, everything I used is link and listed down below, unless it's something you cannot get anymore. There shouldn't be that problem in this video, but there are some videos coming that I've used older supplies in that I don't know if you can actually purchase anymore. So if something's not listed down below, it's because it's no longer available, or potentially I forgot. So you can always leave me a message and ask me about it. This sentiment, it says birthday wishes. It is from a Simon Says stamp set. I love the Simon Says sentiment stamps. They are some of my favorite. They just always have these beautiful mixed fonts. I think a lot of the time Christina Warner is the one who's doing these, and if you guys have seen any of her handwriting or her lettering, it's always stunning. So she does these great. I don't know if this set specifically was done by her, but I know a lot of the sentiment stamps are, and they always have this just beautiful written scripty and then like kind of a more bold font. And I love the mixed font look. It's one of my favorites. So I do tend towards the Simon Says stamps for the more sentiment oriented ones, just because I happen to love them. And then I'm going to add some texture. If you don't enjoy texture on your card panels, you can totally skip this step. It's not necessary. It's just that I love the look, so I'm going to add it in. So I added a little bit of clean clear water, which gives me that kind of splotchy look, the little bit of splatter in the background. And then I'm also going to add some perfect pearls that I keep mixed up in this little mini mister bottle. And I'm just going to splatter those onto the background for a little bit of extra shimmer and shine. But like I said, you could easily skip this step and you would have cards done super quickly and they would be absolutely stunning. So I'm just going to start adhering them. I do have a black shimmer cardstock as my back mat here. You can change anything you want to change. You can be completely inspired by this card and, do completely different colors, a completely different layer. Maybe you're going to bring a pattern paper. So you take what works for you based on the design and make it your own. Totally okay. 100%. So I love layers. I love splatter. I love texture. I love, scripty sentiments. So, take the ideas of what I'm giving you here and make it your own with whatever you happen to have on hand. You guys, if you've been with my channel a while, know that I am a big believer in using what you have on hand. You don't always have to purchase new things, although don't get me wrong, I enjoy purchasing new things because it's always kind of fun to get new crafty goodies in the crafty room. But you can bust out your old stuff and give it some love and just create some really beautiful cards. If you don't have the floral trims, grab a large floral stamp, grab some leaf stamps and do your own little pattern along the left edge. Like there are so many ways you can recreate this card design and not have to have it similar to mine, you know? So by all means, you know, grab your supplies, do something crafty, do it in a pastel color palette, and then, you know, show it in the Facebook group so I can see it, because I love seeing what you guys make, especially when it's inspired by something I've made, because that is my whole thing. I want to inspire people to create, because you absolutely can. You know, I get a lot of comments that are, you know, I can't do that, or I would love to do that, but I'm not sure how. You know, and that's totally fair. I totally understand, but you can do it. I promise you can, because hopefully you learned something from this and you can go and kind of play and be patient and kind to yourself as you're learning, and just try something new and try something kind of fun. So that's my little TED talk for the day. But I fully believe you can create beautiful things. So, you know, give it a go, give it a try, and see what you can come up with. I decided to stamp on the inside of these. I generally forget to do the insides, but every once in a while I remember that I want to do the insides. So I grabbed the same floral stamp that I used on the outside, and then I have my card, just the card base in the Misti, and I'm stamping in the two colors that are on the front of the card. And I didn't clean the stamp between each stamping. I did clean it between the black ink and using my Oxide inks, but I didn't clean it between the Oxide inks because there's not enough transfer there that I'm not really concerned about it. And you can't really contaminate Oxide ink pads with each other's color. Like if you get a little bit of a different color in your Oxide ink pad, you can wipe it off, you can smear it off, you can, you know, put it on the glass mat. They're pretty easy to clean off, so I've never had a problem. If you aren't comfortable with that, you could absolutely clean the stamp between each stamping, if that's a concern for you. I'm not that concerned. I'm a pretty... I don't know what the right word would be. I'm a pretty, I'm just happy to create. I'm not really worried about if there's a little bit of one color in my stamp. Like if I got a little bit of pink in my yellow ink pad, that doesn't really concern me. I would still just use it perfectly fine, but completely up to you. You know, you got to do what works for you and what makes you happy. So there's nothing wrong with cleaning it between everything. There's nothing wrong with not cleaning it if that's your thing. You do you, as Tim Holtz says, you know, just create however you want to create and it will be beautiful, and that's perfectly okay. And then of course you guys know that I could not resist adding just a couple of pearls across this sentiment. It's just a little bit of something extra. Again, if you don't have pearls, you don't have embellishments, you don't want to add embellishments, you don't have to. You could leave them off and this is still going to be a beautiful card. It's just that I have a thing for pearls, especially, and I love adding just a little bit of embellishment to my cards. To me, that kind of makes it finished, but it's not necessary. So, you know, use what you have. If you have a couple pearls, add them on. If you don't, that's okay too. Or gems or stars or whatever embellishment you happen to have. Use your crafty supplies. I promise that you will enjoy it. It's fun to create. So take some time. Bust out some creations. If you need, you know, some inspiration, you can go and check out my Facebook group, or, you know, you can go to my Instagram, anything like that. You can check out old videos, anything like that. And of course, Az is laying on the side of the glass mat there. You can see his foot and his tail. He was not really supervising. He was kind of sleeping on the job, but he was there just to show his moral support, which was lovely. So I'm just going to hold them all up so you guys can see them in all of their glory. I think they turned out really pretty. I'm really happy with them. I mean, they hit everything that I love. You know, they're ink blending, they're vibrant colors, or at least rainbow-esque colors, because they're more pastel-y. It's a birthday card. It has pearls, it has splatter. Like, this card sings to me because it is, you know, pretty much hitting all of my favorite parts of card making. But I hope you guys will join in the challenge. I hope you'll leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do have a goal of trying to hit 25,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. I don't know if that's ambitious or not, but I would love to have you as a subscriber if you enjoy my content. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.